Okay, hi. I'm going to be doing this while I'm doing an Instagram Live. So I'm going to just start it right now. And my phone just will not store all of it together. Hi. Okay. I'm just going to do a quick little demo of pour painting. Yesterday, I have my cute friend, Ava Butler. She's a student of mine over the years, and she and I was doing a mentorship through her school, and I was doing a demo. We decided to do a pour paint. So I'm like, well, I've got all the paints out, so I might as well do a demo of it. So the one I did yesterday, I did a couple. The one I did yesterday was this one. And there are about 10 million, and I'm not lying, videos of these all over YouTube. So, and there are people that do it like really, really well. Like this is what they do. So this is just like a really simple pour painting technique that you could maybe do with your kids, or kids, if you're on, you can do it. So I'm also recording a YouTube for this also. So it's on this camera. So, but I'll be just looking at this camera. Okay, so I just got, the first thing you need, I just bought these, you can even get these at the dollar store, just little canvases, you know, and you know what? It would probably work even great if you had an old canvas and gessoed over it. But I just like doing it on canvas. You could probably do it on wood, you know, I don't know. But I'm doing it on canvas. I just got these little cheapos. And the other thing you need is you need gloves for sure. And it's kind of a messy deal. So this might be the thing, like if you've never done it, you might want to do it outside. It would be a great summer project. I got these at Clever Octopus, these like awesome cookie tray containers. They had a ton of them. And I use these for everything. I use them for tie-dye, and they rinse out really easy. And so save all your plastic, guys. Don't throw it away. Okay, and then these little wood sticks, I like these little stir sticks. These are so great. That's what I use. You could use a plastic knife or something like that. I hate styrofoam cups, so I have a bunch of these. So I use these to set my painting up on when I'm ready to do the pour. You can use any cups, you could use cans, you can use whatever. So I'm gonna use acrylic paint. This is a Crayola brand. Actually, you know what? This isn't acrylic, this is tempera. Some of these are acrylic, some of these are tempera. But this washable tempera works really well too. We did this yesterday and I like it. You just have to thin this out. So you also need some little mini cups. If you don't have those, you could just use these and like just cut them in half. Any cups that you have, doesn't matter. So then I use, when Ava and I made this yesterday, we didn't exactly use a pouring medium, but you probably need a pouring medium because that's going to thin this out. This is kind of thick, so you want to thin it out. So this is the pouring medium that I use. I just bought it at like Hobby Lobby or Michael's or whatever. You could also use glue, like white glue, and water it down, like 60% white glue. There's a cute gal on YouTube, and that's what she uses as a pouring medium. She makes herself with 60% glue, 40% water, and just puts it in a container. So then because this is kind of pricey. And look, you don't get very much for like $8.99. That's not very much. But when Ava and I did it yesterday, we did not use a pouring medium, and we used water, and it did fine. Here's a couple of things you can use. So you also want to create cells in it. I like cells. So cells are, when you're looking at a pour painting, this one doesn't have very many, but it's just almost like these little bubbles that come up, and they're really, really cool. I like how this looks. It's like an aerial view of like the ocean and things like that. But I like it when cells pop out. The thing that's going to create cells is just that chemical reaction with silicone in there. You could also try, yesterday we tried this. We tried dishwashing detergent. You can do alcohol. They don't create great cells. Silicone works great. You can order it online, but I just use WD-40. So I just go like this and just put WD-40 because it is silicone. And silicone, you know, rather than being not just oily, I mean, it's a lubricant, but it's also kind of rubbery, you know. So that's when these cells get created. You'll see. Maybe we'll have some, maybe we won't. I don't really know, because it's really random. So, but it is really fun. So I am going to start. Hi everyone. Can you use a board or another substrate? Oh, hi Sherry. Sherry Gibb just asked, can you use a board or another substrate that you gesso in? Yeah, at the beginning I said that you can gesso. So just buy gesso at the craft store. If you guys have never used gesso, it's just like white paint. And so if you want to reuse, like if I hated this, I could gesso over it and start over. Or yes, you can just, I think you could get a board. Just anything you have, like a board or piece of glass. And like I said, Clever Octopus has a lot of those things that you could go in and get, and then you're helping the environment by not, you know, by first of all, by getting stuff that's not going to be checked. And second of all, you can even go to DI or whatever and just get an old, or Savers and get an old canvas. So is there any other questions? I think that's the only question I saw on there. Just make sure your paints, I like really bright kind of Scandinavian colors. I'm kind of into that. When you do, you kind of have to eyeball your paint. I probably just put way too much paint in there. So I'm going to pour some back. I'm not a fan of paint wasting, but I will reuse whatever I don't use. So, okay, I'm going to put whatever I put in here, I'm going to put an equal part of the pouring medium on it, the stuff that makes it flow. So that, and you also have to kind of eyeball your paint. I'm just going to kind of cover the bottom of this. I just don't want to use too much. This is such a small, this is only like a, what do you think that is? It's like an 8 by 10 or something, 8.5 by 11. So you kind of look at your paint when you're pouring. This brand, and like I said, these are tempera, but tempera, these washable temperas work. But these are really thin, and so you may not, some of these are really thin, and you may not get it to the consistency that you want. I don't love using a lot of black because it's so intense. It's just, it almost takes over the whole painting. Like anytime you use black, it takes over the painting. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it and try to get a little less than half in here. Just because I don't want a ton. And I think I'll do red. And this red, I can already, just by hearing it, I can hear that it is like really, it's really thin. So the whole key is you want to get this to flow really nicely. And so, hi everyone that joined the Facebook Live. So fun to see people on here. This will be saved to an IGTV, and then it'll also be on my YouTube page. And that's Bergstrom Farms. Okay, so now we got the pouring medium. So you're just going to put it in there. So we're gonna mix that up. And on the ones that are really thin, just don't add as much, okay? If you feel like it's too thin, I don't know. I just feel like it can't really, I mean, if it's too thin, what's it gonna do? Just, flow faster, I guess. But like I said at the beginning, you can make your own pouring medium from glue and water, a little more glue than water. Okay, so we got these in here now. So I'm just going to stir them up. Well, that's about it. And then after I stir all of these up and get it I'm gonna move this guy. I know me, and I know that I'm a spiller. You're gonna get this really well. See, I'm already spilling. Want to get it pretty well mixed, and this might take a minute. Sorry, if I was able to edit this, I would do this on fast speed, but I can't do that because I'm doing a live. It's the only bad part about doing a live is you cannot edit that. Now I want the consistency when I do this. I want to see that it's pretty flowy. I just want to look in there and see that that is going to flow. And if it isn't, I need to add more of the pouring medium to it. So you definitely want it to move quickly, but not too quickly. It's a little dance. And sorry, this is just taking so long. Just sing a little song while we're doing it. Whoa! I just got so excited looking at you guys that I spilled the paint on myself. That's okay. Anything goes here. Yesterday, Ava and I were talking. See, I can't look up and do it at the same time. Ava and I were talking, and I said, you know, you're not a real artist unless you get really, really dirty. And that's what I used to tell my students, and I'm sure their parents did not appreciate how grubby the kids came home. These are looking pretty good. I think I've just got the black and the green left. I do not have anything to wipe myself off with right now. Okay, okay. So like I said, I'm just doing a little black. It's just so crazy intense when you add black. I have an itch, and I don't know how to scratch it with all this on. I feel like, I don't know if you guys have felt this way, but lately I have felt really kind of unmotivated to do really crafty things. And I've been especially unmotivated to paint. And I think it's because it's winter and we're kind of coming out of winter, but these all feel like the right consistency to me. Now, so this is the silicone, and I'm probably going to add maybe 4 drops. This is what makes the cells. So I guess the more silicone you add, the more cells that you have, right? Like I said, if you buy the silicone online, like on Amazon, and it's literally silicone for pour painting. That's what it says. It'll probably be, I mean, there's other things in this besides silicone in WD-40. There are. So, and I put a lot of drops in. Some of these I put a lot of drops in. So there's other chemicals in here. So I think if you just want straight silicone, that's what I would do. I would order it. This one is too thick already, I can tell. And it's funny when you let it sit for just a second, it just gets, it gets a little sludgy. So that's pretty good. So once we get all of the silicone mixed in, oh, can you guys see this okay? Okay. Once you get all of that mixed in, we're going to pour it into a cup, and then we'll flip it. Now, like I said, if you want to get on YouTube and just find all the fun, they're very addictive to watch. It's super addicting to watch these videos. There are some people out there who are so unbelievably amazing at pour painting, and they do all these cool things with cells, and my word, I am not at that level by any stretch. Okay, so I'm going to just take a cup and I'm going to start. There's no order that I'm going to put it in because I found out that when you do it in an order, it doesn't really, some people will argue and say, no, it matters, the order matters. So I think it's for sure the consistency of the paint the heavier paint, how it flows with the lighter paint and the different brands. That's just my opinion. Okay, so I'm gonna add the red. So I added the red in there. And then I'm just going to add everything. I'm going to just, I need to get this guy so you can see it. I'm just going to pour it on top, and I think I'll do a couple of layers of it. So I like to pour it right in the center, but only because I like things really just so. It's a good way of saying it. I like it just so. Gonna add the yellow. And it's funny, I can see that red paint is just rising, and everything is just kind of falling into it. This green is driving me crazy. This green is, every time I leave it on its own, it gets really chunky, a tiny bit thicker. So that's okay. I'm just adding a little more pouring medium, and I'm going to add a couple more drops of silicone to that. Okay, super easy. This is like I said, this is like the non-professional person's way to do it. Okay, so now I've got this all in here like this, and I think I'll go back and add a couple more in there, just a couple of the same colors, just to add a little more depth to it. And okay, that green is so chunky. Okay, I've got to set these up. So these, like I said, you could use cans. I just have so many of these cups that I refuse to throw out because they're so gross. I hate styrofoam. But that's just me. Okay, so I just kind of want to get it so that I know that, okay, well, this is the really fun part. So this is what it looks like in here. So, like I said, I have two cameras going. Then I've already gotten paint on this side, so that's all right. So just hit it in the middle, maybe, and hold it kind of tight and flip it over. And after you flip it over, I'm gonna set it down so you can see it just a little bit better. There. I mean, I'm gonna have to pick it up in just a sec anyway. So, okay. So there it is. Now we can start moving it. I don't see any cells starting, but if you want to get the cells going at a faster rate, you can put some heat on it, and I'll do that in just a second. So I could see a few cells starting. It's not pouring super fast. It's not moving super fast, but I guess it's moving fast enough, huh? Here's where the fun starts. So the problem I've had too with this is that sometimes I get it to a perfect place and I think, oh, I love that, but I kind of want the whole thing covered. And then it kind of gets a little bit ruined. So I'm gonna hold it up this way so you can see it move a little bit better. And it really is just your personal preference on how you want it to move. But let's hope that these cells start showing up in a minute. I can already see some bubbles in there. But I'm gonna just use a heat gun really fast and see if I can. So this heat gun, you see that it's bringing out a few cells. So the heat gun is brought out a few of these cells, which is kind of cool. I don't like that I don't have enough on the edges. So I've got some left. I'm just gonna try to get that in there. Okay. I guess you can also help move it along a little bit. You can, I don't often like to touch it to move it, because see what it's gonna do is it's gonna create kind of not a, it's gonna swirl it too much. But just because we don't have all the time in the world to sit here and watch it move. Now on your edges, you could let them drip over. Already it's dripping on my arm, can you see that? You could let them drip over the edge, which if this was a little bit, I needed a little more, I needed this to be a little bit runnier. So you could let it run over the edge and kind of touch it up, see how it's already running over some of these edges, or you can just paint the edges one solid color. So I'm going to add a little bit of heat to this now. Hold on a sec. So I want this area to be a little covered. I want this to have a little in it. And I want the, some people like the edges done, some people don't. It's just how I am. Okay, I see some cells starting, but I'm going to add a little heat from this heat gun. You know what else works really well that I've seen a lot of people on YouTube do is they use like a little, the hot torch that, or the torch that you use for creme brulee, the cooking torch, that's what good. So as I'm doing this, these cells are kind of popping out, and like I said, the cell looks like a little bubble in there. And that's what the silicone does, is it creates those cells. So, so you can kind of see the cells. I'll hold it up like this. Those little dots and all those little blobs. Look at it dripping. Ooh, isn't that cool? So I'm gonna move it back this way just because I kind of want this blue area to be a little more pronounced. So I'm gonna try and move it around to see if I can get it. You can also add color on top of color. I guess you could do another pour on top of this if you didn't like it. You could just do pour on top of pour on top of pour. So that's kind of fun. I'm liking the way this is looking, and I want to set it down now and just let it rest. I like it. I think I'm going to touch the edges a little bit to get that going over there. I think I'll use a stick. And that's it. You want to, there. You're going to want to let this dry. Like I said, if you don't like this, if this is going to bug you, you can just swipe it and at the end, like just paint it a solid color. Or you could just go like this and just rub it in. That's kind of cool looking too. I think I'll do that on this one. But it, like I said, if I would have had it a little bit more runny, it would have flowed over the edge. So make sure you do 50-50 on your pouring medium. You got to, because otherwise you just don't get flowy enough. Okay, all the edges are covered, pretty much. There. Okay, I'm digging it. Okay, so that's just all the little cells, all the little things. If you want more cells, if you want more of these little dot things, they're almost like bubbles. If you want more of them, just add more silicone. If you want to get really crazy and creative, you can do things like drip alcohol on top. I'm going to add a little bit of alcohol into here. I like to do, if you've been taught by me at any point in your lives, you're going to know one thing. It's process over product. I prefer the process rather than the product. I always have. So unless I'm doing something really specific, that, you know, maybe someone's asked me to do a painting for them or something, but I love the process and I love experimentation. And if you're doing it with your kids, I think that's what it should be all about too. And yourself. We all need to experiment. So you can add little, this is not alcohol ink, so it's gonna react a little differently. But if you add little dots, I don't know if you can see what the alcohol just did when it's creating like this big circle-y thing right down in here. So it's not gonna move the paint around, but it is going to add a texture to it. So if you want, you know, circles that look textured in there, you can add alcohol to that. So there you go. That is it. I'm loving that these are creating cells within cells. There's one right in the middle of the blue that I don't know if you can see, where it's got a couple, I don't want to tilt it too much, but it's got a couple of different cells starting. So, and the cool thing is, once this sits, so now I'm just going to let it sit, and once it sits, it's going to dry. Hang on, I got to take these off. It's going to dry, not glossy, not high gloss. So can you see how this is kind of a matte? Just because I used acrylic paint, and it's the type of paint, like I also used these tempera paints, and tempera has that dry kind of chalky look. Well, in the olden days it really did, but now Crayola makes this tempera that is almost identical to acrylic in a lot of ways. So for kids, this washable tempera is amazing. But anyway, because there's tempera in it, this is a little drier looking. So if you want a high gloss shiny, this is not it. So what I'll probably do, because I love the look of the high gloss shiny look, I'm in love with that. So what I'll probably do when I'm done with this one is spray it with triple thick. It's a spray that you can buy that makes things super high gloss. Or I may do some sort of other pour over it to make it really, really high gloss. So I just like it high gloss, but if you like it matte, that's great too. So those are some ways to get it to look a little glossier. I don't know if you have any questions, but that's it. As it sits now, more cells are gonna pop out, and I'll post a picture later of what it looks like. So anyway, thanks for coming. That was a fast little craft, right? That didn't take too long. The cleanup is kind of crazy. I have all this paint left over. So if you're doing it with kids and you have all this paint left over, I would just, just paint on paper. I'll probably do another pour with this because I have so much left over. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for coming, and I will talk to you later.